Welcome back to Turning the Mirror podcast. This is where we bring you the reflection of politics and governance across our country, Kenya. And today we are looking into a very critical topic within the Kenyan politics and the Kenyan association and even the social life across. And the big topic is tribalism.
Yeah.
And at the hot seat, I'm here with Olengo Kwach. He's going to take us through as we're going to explore the real causes of tribalism in Kenya. You know, it is something that it's playing so rough for the Kenyan people, be it economic-wise, social-wise, and everything, even in governance. It means influencing all sectors within the Kenya.
Yeah.
And my first question is that is tribalism really a good thing? Because people have different takes. People say tribe is good because we must belong to a tribe. Is it something good, or maybe the way it's playing around and the way it's rolling, it's what brings the negativity side of it?
How I view it,
Yeah.
I'd say that it fully depends on the context.
Yeah.
If maybe we are talking about tribalism in the context of development, that we come together or unite as a community and identify ourselves as this tribe, and then use that identity to build home. Yeah. Before then we get out there to negotiate and help other people also build their place, then that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
But when it comes to now politics and leadership, that we have this tribalism affected by both political class, the places of work, like anywhere where now we engage as a different people from different community against a different people from a different community, then in that case I see it as something very wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, as a Pan-Africanist, I do believe that for one to be an African, you know, you must belong to some tribe.
Yes.
Then within that tribe is what makes the bigger picture that now we are Africans.
Very
yeah,
true.
must be an African tribe.
Very true.
And today we have different cultures. You know, I do believe that if we could embrace our diversities, it's something so beautiful.
Yeah.
But that is how this thing has become so negative within Kenya compared to other countries like our neighboring Tanzania. You know, most of the tribes in Kenya are also in Tanzania. So there should be something that should be different, or something that happened so differently within Kenya that never happened there.
Yeah.
Let's get to the pre-colonial period, because we lived as tribes. We were moving from different parts of Africa down to Africa, like the Luo.
During
Myself,
migration.
yeah, migration. We moved down from Egypt to Kenya, following to the Lake Victoria, and we are here. And now we met these other tribes. But I just get set to believe that we lived in harmony, and we intermarried, though there could be one conflict here and there, but it was not such as much.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Because actually it's true that let's take example of now Luos. When they settled in the Nyanza region, that is now what presently we know as Siaya, Kisumu, Migori and Homa Bay. They didn't know of the existence of people like the Kikuyu. They also didn't know that Waswahili were there, or the people from coast, because most of the time they could meet or mingle with the Kalenjin, the Maasai, the Kuria, the Kisis, those who were around.
Yeah,
and the same applied to the other areas. Like now the Kikuyu, the Agikuyu, they also mingle with people that were around them. And in this case, the only areas of contact were either during trade, which in this case we had no common language. So we were doing what is known as barter trade. So if Worth Kaboko here maybe has one sack of maize and he wants to sell it for a goat, then he would come with his one sack of maize and put it here, then wait. Somebody comes with a cow maybe, takes the sack and leaves the cow. Or what is not interested in a cow, he still waits. Somebody comes and then drops a goat, which now Woth wants, and goes with the cow, for example. That's an example. Then Woth takes the goat and goes away. So in this case, we were living as a people, as neighbors, and we were having a few things that we were sharing. Because remember, there are communities who produce things that other communities don't produce. And we need each other for to coexist, and also for food, because there are things we produce that other people don't produce. But then again, there are also areas where we kept fighting. Like now, for example, the Nandi or the Maasai kept raiding the Luos for what they were calling it cat rustling, which in during that time it was okay according to them. And of course, such things were there. But then there was not this tribalism as much until the white man came. Because in Kenya, they had to use what we call divide and rule.
Yeah, sure.
And therefore, they came, and then in this essence, this is when now the Kikuyus could know, oh, there are people who are known as Luos. This is when Luos could know, oh, there are people who are called, they are Meru, they are able, and all that.
I don't think that's really true, because then we don't really think we had the names that we have, like the Luos. Maybe in description is that the Luos could describe themselves. We lower. We were walking along the river, and maybe the people who wrote books, which were in the hands of the Englishmen. Yeah, so they wrote these people called Luo out of that. And I think that one also developed a prejudice. Identification was done through prejudice. The Luos could hear that there are people somewhere in the highlands that they are like this, they're like that, they look like this their character. The people from the mountain could hear that kuna watu wa aina hii. So did that really also influence it? The prejudice that I believe that, oh, this tribe is bad, that.
Actually, there's a way every community could identify themselves. And then with that identity, they could coexist peacefully with the other people, doing their things differently, because even the supreme being who was being worshipped was worshipped differently.
Yeah, sure.
But in this case now, the white man comes and then gets your leader as a community, brings them on board, and then you are used to fight another community. So in this case, you know of their existence. You are even told of a name maybe that you didn't know. And then it now brings this chaos. Then fast forward, we come to now the unity, because all that division was there. But then Kenyans and Africans united in different countries. So Kenyans united, we had the Luos, we had the Agikuyu, we had the Luos, like everybody within the Kenyan space united to fight for independence. They united to fight against the colonial rule. So, and during this time, according to history, the Agikuyu and the Luos were the majority. So they formed this party known as KANU. Then the communities which felt like they were the minority, so that their voices could also be heard. They also joined hands and formed this party called KADU. Then they came together and tried fighting for, because this was formed just when they were about to get independence, because initially Africans were not allowed to have political parties. So that is where we get the associations like the Kavirondo taxpayers and all that. So when again Kenyan got independence, the union between these communities was not long-lived. It was short-lived. Because when we got independence, for instance, the Agikuyu had the president and the Luos had the vice president. They did not see this as it is the Agikuyu who are having this against the Luos who are having this. It was Kenya. And therefore you could even realize that even the ministers, those who were put in positions that mattered, they did not look at regions, but they looked at the individuals and the capabilities. But then just 3 years into Kenyan first government after independence, we have now ideological differences coming. Of course, people say that we had ideological differences which were political, which in this case, we can also doubt, because there are also other reports that corruption was at stake and one person was against that, and therefore he had to be kicked out of the government. And because of the fear of this community now trying that the community will rise against this, and so we'll again have communities fight against each other, he could not just be fired. This gentleman had to be stripped of his duties.
Tell us about the gentleman.
This gentleman is known as Oginga Odinga. And therefore, the Jomo Kenyatta government brought in vice presidents from 8 regions. So the then provinces, today they are known as regions. Every province then had a vice president. And therefore, Oginga Odinga remained there with the title without the power. So he decided to resign. Just 3 years again from there, we have the only person who the Luos perceived as their only son now in government, holding a higher position, Tom Mboya, is assassinated on a broad daylight. And then the Luos were feeling that the government had a hand in it. And looking at how it happened, whoever pulled the trigger and all that, they say, oh, the Agikuyu community was involved. And so that is where now the fight between the Luos and the Gikuyu started afresh. You see?
Yeah.
And so when the president now, Jomo Kenyatta, went to Kisumu to launch the Russia Hospital, then Russia Hospital, I think today is called as Oginga Odinga Referral Hospital,
Yeah.
because it was built through the Russian government and the connection between Oginga Odinga and the Russian government. So when he came to launch this as the president, again, the speech he made did not go well with the people at that
And that
point.
brought about the Kisumu massacre.
Kisumu massacre.
And to cut this short, are you trying to mean the tribal issue in the boundaries of Kenya? It is more so between the Luos and the Kikuyu, not other tribes are so much involved in it, or maybe the Kikuyu has parted with some tribes and the Luos, or it is it across all tribes? Because we are so many.
What I'd say in this case is that you realize that other tribes against other tribes, there is no major issue until a political pact is reached, whereby now we have one tribe, maybe for example the Agikuyu, in a political pact with other communities, against also the Luos in a political pact with other communities. Then in this case, to the other tribes or ethnic groups in the other political divide would also now view the other tribes in the other political divide as their enemies.
Then you're trying to say leadership is a key contribution to this that has ensured that tribalism still exists within the boundaries of Kenya.
Yes, and we saw that even when Moi was in power, when now the multi-party democracy, fast forward, when the multi-party democracy was in place, and so elections were being held in Kenya, we realized that when Moi was just about to be thrown out of power because the opposition figures had following, he used that tactic of our tribe, our person, to divide these guys. And therefore you'd realize that Matiba is here as a Kikuyu, we have Kibaki here as a Kikuyu, we have Oginga Odinga from Nyanza, we have the likes of Masinde Muliro join hands with Kijana Wamalwa from Western, and all that. And so he played his politics wisely, and that is how he made it again to become the president.
So that is how politics has been played within Kenya. And that is still what we are seeing today. And it's shaping politics. Like even in everything, past politics.
2002 again, people united against the bad leadership. At this point now, they were not looking at the tribe, but the bad leadership. Everyone was against Moi, and whoever he brought on board, like now he brought the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, he was perceived as a Moi project. So it is only 2002 when people united against an ideology, against a person, against bad leadership. But again, after 2002, again we've had coalitions formed, we've had parties formed on tribal lines.
Sure, you know, this is something that is degrading our country, because it is not just in politics, it is in organizations, even in institutions, down even to schools.
To job places.
Even job places, the smallest place, even where people stay, communities. So it is affecting even businesses. So what's the way forward? Will we proceed or continue like this? What's the solution? What can take us off this?
I think at this point, what I'd say as a young person who is trying to look at Kenya, which is better, a Kenya where anybody feels that they belong, we need to first of all ensure that whoever is in the leadership, let's have all of us, we should avoid electing someone because he is our person. We all fall victim, actually. All communities fall victim to this. Because if you go to Luo Nyanza, for example, they'll tell you because we elect Raila Odinga, majority will tell you we elect Raila Odinga because he is our person. He is our son. If you go to Rift Valley, they'll tell you we voted for William Ruto because he is our man. And that happens across. We voted Uhuru Kenyatta because he is our man. So in these cases, we look at our person with the mentality that when our person is in the position of leadership or position of power, then more goodies will come to our place. So I think it is high time that Kenyans now changed from the ethnic-based politics, for example, to ideological-based politics, so that we look at people with integrity, people who are worth these positions, people who have Kenya at heart, not just their communities at heart, but the whole country at heart in these positions. Because after all, if you have to defend your people, then we have elected leaders who whose main role is defending those very people who elected them.
Yeah.
But the moment you now come to the position of a president, deputy president, then you speaker, then you are now a national figure. Again, it is politics that influences all this. Because if I may just ask a simple question. When you go out here to buy something, maybe sugar or water or cooking oil, you will not look at the shopkeeper as maybe a Giriama. You'll just go there and buy as a Kenyan. The same thing happens when people board mats and matatus from places to places. So if we can apply that when it comes to leadership, then all will be good, because when our politics change, then our way of life will also change.
You know what? You know, when I have you as a person from my place, I would rather, when I see you are getting somewhere, often I will choose to support you rather than supporting somebody from a distant land, just knowing that at least I can get access to you. You know me. I can, if I have an issue or problem, I can address it to you. You know, these are some of the questions that are still bringing this thing together. But I hope we should find something to replace it, this ideology and that narrative. And what could be best for us as a country is that when we get to strengthen all our institutions, that we assure everything will just be right with whoever person gets to a position, that if they do what's not right, they will be taken off from those positions. When the institutions are strengthened and everything is well placed, and we gain that trust and we walk in the lines of our constitution, I know the future is promised.
So that we have institutions independent of politics, independent of whoever is in the power.
Yeah, so it will not be a constant that I have to get my person in there. I will just have to see this person will be able to take the country to the next level. Thank you so much, our audience and our listeners. The conversation is hot, and let us stop it from there. We will always proceed with this, isn't it? Yeah, sure.
Look at the merits, not your tribesman. Not that they come from our place.